is off the charts. 92% of patients report satisfaction with their results. In fact, most people that come in for their free consultation ask if they can just start right away. It doesn't cost a thing for that second opinion with QC Kinetics. You owe it to yourself to live a pain-free life, and you owe it to yourself to check out QC Kinetics. The results could be life-changing. Call QC Kinetics today at 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474.
Hi, I'm Brittany Miller from Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more. Custom T-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, you name it, we can do it. Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more is family-owned and all about celebrating life's big moments. Maybe it's a milestone birthday, a celebration for your child's first goal, or that work fundraising event. We are everyone's printer. No minimum orders, affordable designs, and help straight from me and our team. We're the one-stop shop for all your custom needs. Start your project today at bigfrog.com/Mequon.
With 18 unforgettable holes on 250 acres of natural private land, the Bog provides the ultimate golf experience. To book your next tee time, call 262-284-7075 or visit golfthebog.com. Enjoy golf. Enjoy the Bog.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Avondale Roofing is knocking on your door. Leaking roof? Man, that's a shame. Call the real pros. We running this game. We patch it, thatch it, no need to stress. Our crew shows up and cleans up the mess. No drips, no drafts, no drama at all. Just tight new shingles that are leak-proof hall. Hey.
It's nothing but Avondale, baby. They keep it dry when the weather gets crazy. Hey.
Visit AvondaleRoofing.com. That is AvondaleRoofing.com.
Dr. Aaron Holtebeck and his team at Holtebeck Eye Center make vision care a top priority. They are your premium provider for eye care and corrective eye surgeries. Dr. Holtebeck has been helping local patients with their eye care needs for over 20 years. Dr. Nausheen Abbas joined the Holtebeck Eye Center team last September, and her practice philosophy is to provide patient-centered medicine by giving all options. Located in Brookfield near the corner of Calhoun and Capitol. Learn more about their services at holtebeck.com.
Right now, more than 100,000 children waiting in foster care need our help. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is focused on finding them safe, permanent
This is Brian
homes.
Balaga. You're listening to 94.5 ESPN.
94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI-HD Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. Showtime. The right way to start your day. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Like Batman's been going strong for 80 years.
I'm sorry, I did not realize I was sitting amongst big Batman.
You won't believe what happened with Watley today. It got back to him that I made this little dentist joke, and he got all offended. Those people. It's gonna be so touchy.
Those people. Listen to yourself.
I did not realize that you were like king or president of the big Batman fan club. This is news to me.
No, is Batman fantastic? Yeah, Batman's fantastic.
You think the dentists are so different from me and you? They came to this country just like everybody else in search of a dream.
Watley's from Jersey.
Yes, and now he's a full-fledged American.
You're
fine.
You're just fine. Batman ignorant.
I don't think I'm Batman ignorant. I think I am.
You're a Batman hater.
You're anti-Batite. There we go.
Kramer, he's just a dentist.
Yeah, and you're an anti-dentite.
I am not an anti-dentite.
You're a rabid anti-dentite.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamorro. Here's Jen Latta.
Running her mouth, she wants to ride, she's trying to hide it. I'm cool as ever, she's too excited. Her man look like he wanna fight, he ain't doing nothing but running his mouth. Talk about it, we all about it. They making plans, we sit and count. Our chairs stacked just like a mountain. You heard about it, she running her mouth.
Good morning.
There we go.
Good thing we did that. Back from the 4th of July holiday, feeling rested, recovered, revived. Apparently, I'm the only one of the three of us that sit in this room typically. Bunch of slackers, huh, Joshy?
I feel like I was just never able to stop and take a breath until maybe yesterday. I don't think it's necessary, and it just wasn't my choice, but to see the same group of people 3 times in 4 days, that feels like perhaps a little bit of overkill. I don't know if there was any R&R in my I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. But as things pile up and, we're looking at Saturday and it's like, hey, it's time to replant all the house plants. And we've been out, past midnight the past 3 nights and meeting people, hanging out, doing all that. It's like, I don't want to do that.
Wait, is your girlfriend a goer?
Yes, the biggest goer you'll ever meet.
Oh, she's a goer.
The most going that's
am
ever gone.
a recovering goer.
Yeah.
My husband had to intervene. He had to step in and be like, hey, here's what we're not doing.
I've been trying to intervene for the better part of, forever on that. It's like, there's just so much to do at all times. It feels so unnecessary to me. But yeah, I'm very much not a goer. I'll happily go once in a while on occasion. 1 out of every 3 events that are available to us, I'd prefer to go to. But yeah, that's my life story, and it has been.
I'm going to give you Dario's number so that you can call him and he can give you the blueprint for how he ungoered me.
Yes.
We got former part-time, now full-time Will behind the glass this morning. Good morning, Will. I heard you had a bit of an adventure this weekend.
Yeah, so I was with a couple of my buddies. We were on the river, having a great time in the water, shooting off some fireworks, as one does. And all of a sudden, a little guy with a flashlight comes poking through the front yard.
What?
Cop came.
What?
One of the neighbors called the cops on us for lighting off fireworks, and we had a very good idea of which neighbor it was because this said neighbor was moving around a lot. He was yelling at us from his house.
Oh.
And we were pretty familiar with all the other neighbors, so we very much narrowed it down. So
Hold on, I want to stop you very quickly.
Okay.
What time did you see the flag? And this was on the 4th of July.
On the 4th of July.
When everybody sort of understands fireworks are going to happen.
Yes, and everybody else around us is also lighting off fireworks.
So this happened, it was dark, you said, so 9,
It was
10?
about, 9:30, 10-ish.
So not 1 a.m.
Well, of course, because
No.
you got to wait till
Right.
it gets dark out to
Right.
light off fireworks. Otherwise, you're just peeing your money away.
Right.
So the cop comes, and he basically, it was a single cop too. Like, when do the cops ever come in ones to calls like that?
Well, certainly not if they think there's a threat.
Right.
Like,
So he shows up. We're all just sitting there. We're like, "What's up, officer? Like, how's it going?" He's like, "Well, somebody had a noise complaint on you, and it is the 4th of July, and you guys are letting off fireworks. I'm just showing up because it's my job." Basically is what he said.
Oh, good on the cop. That's great.
One other important detail I want to ask you about. What type of fireworks were these? Were these like Roman candles, bottle rockets, firecrackers, or did we have some like mortar-ish style go up in the air and explode?
Wait a minute, time out. You're very versed in fireworks.
I was waiting for you to just say the one that we had because I didn't remember what it was.
Like, if I had to rattle off the name of different fireworks, I might get 2.
Yeah?
I'd say there are the big ones.
Yep.
And there are the small
big ones that go boom in the sky.
Meanwhile, Josh, he's like,
As somebody who's had the police called on me in the past for lighting up fireworks in my younger years, it never really, as it seems like what's happening here with Will, resulted in bad things. Unless you're doing damage and, blowing up people's mailboxes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like some kids lighting off Roman candles and not endangering others, usually not a big deal.
Right. And the only thing I will say about that is unless you're doing the boom ones over and over again, like that to me can be a little jarring because those you got to mix
The
them in.
M80s,
right?
stuff like that.
We did do that one time.
Well, that's the thing. But again,
It's a one-time
once,
thing.
it's the 4th of July. So the police officer shows up. You guys it's a noise violation on the 4th of July. Like the one day of the year where everyone expects there to be noise violations, right? Like we all are understanding that on that day, neighbors, friends, people are going to be celebrating this way.
Yes.
It's sort of baked in the cake is what I'm saying.
Right. So he basically was just like, wait like a couple minutes till I drive away and you guys can finish because we had a couple more. So in this time, my friend whose house that we were at is a football player, right? So he had a couple of his buddies there, some bigger guys. So we decided to go confront this guy and just ask him.
No.
No, not in a bad way. We were respectfully going to ask.
Respectfully
confront.
Hey, did you snitch on us and have the cops called here?
So me and my little self and a bunch of big guys.
Standing in the back?
Yep, standing in the back. Went over there. I was hiding behind a bunch of people. And we knock on his door and we were basically like, sir, did you call the cops on us? Like, is there anything we can do to, like, smooth it over? And he looks at the size that we got and goes, me call the cops on you? As I mentioned earlier, we knew who it was. And he was like trying to blame it on the guys next door who had an Airbnb. Like, maybe it was them. Like, nope, it wasn't them. We know who they are. Like, it was you. And he just basically denied. And then he ended up like inviting us inside. And we were like, nope. And we walked away.
Absolutely not. That is the weakest sauce, man.
Yeah.
So you call the cops, right? Big, tough guy. I'm going to call the cops on these kids who are shooting off fireworks on the 4th of July. To me, that is the most like,
right.
This isn't some random day in April. This isn't some random day in August. It's the 4th of frickin' July. And then when you confront him on it, he's like, it wasn't me. He shaggies it.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't know who did that, but
Why?
that's kind of messed up. He played that game.
Did the police officer indicate who it might have been, or was this your guys' detective work after some beverages? And you said that he was yelling. That's probably a really good indication
that he was the guy.
Right. So if you know for sure that was the guy yelling, I have a hard time believing, maybe perhaps the neighbor just called.
Right, and his lights were on, and we could kind of see him, like, pacing around, like, looking out the window at us, like, picking up the phone. So, I mean, all signs pointed to him.
Now, there's one thing, and this is a big thing that's taken off, is some people really don't like it because their dogs don't handle it well.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And I don't have that issue. Our dog doesn't mind fireworks, kind of, notices them, but doesn't, freak out or have like anxiety attacks. In that situation, you probably just should approach the kids, right? Like, hey, can we knock this out in the next 30 minutes? We're having a tough time here in the house. Like, is that probably the way you approach it? If there is, like, issues inside the house. Because I also know there are veterans who don't like fireworks because of
PTSD.
the sounds. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I do think there is probably a way to meet it that isn't just calling the cops.
That's a really good point by you. So this goes back to what we talk about on this show a lot, which is like communication can solve a lot of problems, right? And to say to the neighbor, like, hey, I get it. It's the 4th of July.
Right.
And I'm having a tough time with this for whatever reason, blah, 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 blah. Can we agree maybe another 15 minutes and then we call it? And that way the expectation is set that in 15 minutes you guys are going to stop. And then he can proceed with his evening. You guys proceed with your celebratory actions in other ways, continuing to indulge in the ways that you have been. Maybe I like that idea from a compromise standpoint. I can't figure out what's weaker, though. Calling the cops, or then when confronted about calling the cops, denying it.
And trying to blame it on somebody else, too.
Yeah.
Whom we knew it wasn't.
Which, what would have been good is if you guys been like, all right, well, we're going over to their house next. Like,
and we're going to tell them you said it was them.
So the one thing is, you said you had some beef with you.
We had size.
Some large
some
fellas.
serious size.
I don't know. See, first of all, I'm never the one who's going to end up calling the cops unless there's like someone in danger. Fireworks or someone being loud that's like not even something I'd consider. But in that situation, knowing you had just called the cops and young kids who presumably have some beers in them come to confront you, what are you supposed to do? Just say you don't know?
You're saying that he had no other option?
Right. Because in that situation, you look at these kids, they've probably been drinking all day. Wrong or right, Will?
No comment.
They're young. The testosterone is flowing. Their brains aren't fully formed in terms of decision making and things that come along those lines.
Sorry, Will.
It's okay. He's wrong. Not wrong.
I think in that situation, his best bet is just to say, I have no idea. It was not me. Yeah, I yelled at you. But if it turns into a confrontation, there's a chance it goes very poorly for him.
Can you at that moment use the technique that you mentioned a few moments ago of like, you know what? I did. And I'm really struggling with the fireworks, or my dog is really struggling with them. I probably shouldn't have called the cops. Probably should have just come over and asked you guys, but here's or is it too far gone?
I think you're too far gone. Because once you call the cops, you're leaving it up to, now this person, and I think probably 99% of the calls the police get on the 4th of July result in something similar. Like, hey, yeah, it's 4th of July. Like, what am I going to do? Ticket every single person around this lake who's lighting off fireworks that doesn't go house to house.
Well, and that's the other thing. You were not like in downtown Milwaukee. Now, again, people do light off fireworks in downtown Milwaukee, but you guys were sort of out in the boonies, right? You were sort of out in the woods. And
Central Wisconsin.
Yeah, so this was another thing where I'm sure, like, this is sort of where you can do it. Like,
that's it. Driving through Milwaukee, if you have the opportunity on the 4th of July or even the 3rd, it's very cool. As you're coming into the city, you see fireworks everywhere. It's like it's a show. It's like one of those things where I'm like, wow, this is kind of neat to see all this. But I think if you've already called the cops and the kid, because this guy didn't bargain for the kids to then come knocking. That wasn't part of his deal.
he didn't think it through.
Right.
You know, he didn't pull on that thread
It
enough.
is pretty ballsy, let's be honest, for Will and his friends. Now, understandably, a bunch of football guys and probably
Greased up.
offensive linemen.
Greased up.
Yeah. We've had a couple ice cold beverages. That maybe decision becomes easier for them to make. But yeah, I don't think you can take it back and say, I'm sorry. It's like, well, you already called the cops.
Have you ever had the cops called on you?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
What do you mean, of course? What do you think? This is a rite of passage?
I mean, I was a teenage boy. I was a boy in my 20s. Yeah, there's plenty of times where the police have arrived to, and it's never resulted in me being handcuffed or any friends. The worst is maybe like a ticket that like a noise ordinance for a party we're having. Yeah, something along those lines.
Are you okay with Will and his buddies marching over to that house to confront the cop caller?
I am going to. It turned out fine.
Mm-hmm.
But in the states and the way things are now with weapons and the ability to have them, I would probably suggest for my friends not to do that.
Well, we're talking Second Amendment here on Jen Gabe and Chewy this morning. Look at the civic show we've got happening here.
I mean, at this point, I take everybody not as a threat, but going to somebody's house and confronting them, and hey, did you call the cops on us? That can go a number of ways, and many of them are bad. I think 99% of the time it goes the way it did.
Time out. Will, did you and your friends even discuss the possibility of the gentleman who called the cops on you having a weapon?
Didn't even cross their mind.
Didn't even cross their mind. Oh, to be young.
I mean, I don't know exactly what city you were in, but if I know people who I've hung out around lakes, there's generally one of those handy. Sometimes there's some vermin we need to take care of. Like they will typically hunt out of there. There'll be hunting ground nearby. Like those are things I would be considering, knowing that everybody probably on the 4th of July has had some sort of beverage, myself included, the people there included as well. If they're mad enough to call the cops, like showing up with 5 guys, that's threatening. Showing up with big dudes at your door. Hey, did you call the cops? That in and of itself is a return threat, is it not?
Would you do it the same? Would you do it all over again, Will?
Yeah, I'd do it the same. We were very respectful to him, and we were not looking for any physical confrontation.
Yes, you were.
Did you have your cell phones out, though? Or were you at least ready to... Okay, because that's the other thing, right? Like, the cell phone recording any interaction can also escalate
elevates everything.
situations,
Yes.
right? If he all of a sudden feels like y'all are trying to put him on blast or dox him. Well, that has been fun. That was fun. I'm glad that it all worked out the way that it did. Will had the cops called on him this weekend, and then he and his football buddies decided to march over and see what all that was about. We're all warmed up. We're all stretched out here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Tons of stuff to get to this morning. Okay, it is a Brewers summer, man. It is their opportunity to own the summer. Josh is going to take us through why everything is sort of coming up Millhouse for the Milwaukee Brewers right now. The Bucks, maybe in the Bradley Beal sweepstakes. We're going to talk about that. They did also shore up their roster a little bit. And what is this sound I hear that the Green Bay Packers are low-key looking at the pass rush market? That's interesting to somebody who has been clamoring, begging the Green Bay Packers to upgrade that position. All that and more coming up this morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Stick around.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
Problems
on northbound 41. We have a crash at Capitol Drive that's blocking the left lane, making for big delays all the way back to Swan Boulevard. So heads up with that. We've also got southbound slowing down from just before Silver Spring down past Hampton. The rest of the system's actually looking pretty good. We have one other issue, some debris in the roadway on 894 westbound, the ramp to get onto the Rock Freeway southbound. So heads up with that through the hail. The rest of the system is looking pretty good. Traffic is brought to you by Comfort Awnings. Extend your outdoor space with a retractable awning or screen like I did with my friends at Comfort Awnings. Custom designed to fit your home. Get your free estimate at comfortawnings.com. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today. Few clouds, then mostly sunny, a high of 75 at the lake, 81 inland. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 64. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Get your golf fix every Tuesday night at 6 with On the Tee.
Like, Spieth is probably going to, embarrass me at some point. What the hell do you know? Shut up and carry the bag.
Join Gabe Neitzel and Stephen Watson as they dissect all things pro golf and tell the tales of their own golfing journeys in Wisconsin.
I think it's golf in its purest form, and I think it should bookend the golf season.
Go On the Tee with Gabe and Stephen, sponsored by Majestic Oaks at Lake Lawn Resort and Gruber Law Offices. Tuesday nights at 6 on 94.5 ESPN and ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Evan Cohen here. Whether you're locking in your home run picks or riding with your favorite golfers this summer, ESPN Bet is your sports book for all the action. Go from checking stats on your favorite teams and players to placing bets in just a few taps. Plus, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Adam Schefter here for Vivid Seats, your ultimate destination for all your sports and concert needs this summer. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every home run and thrilling comeback in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Visit VividSeats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Evan Cohen here. Typically, you don't associate speed with quality. For example, you don't go through a fast food drive-thru and expect a gourmet meal to go. Well, here's an exception. If you're hiring, you can find candidates fast who are also extremely qualified for your job. Just use ZipRecruiter. With ZipRecruiter's advanced resume database, you can proactively find qualified candidates in minutes. No wonder why ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Try it free at ZipRecruiter.com/USL. That's ZipRecruiter.com/USL.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
What was a rebound? What did you just say?
Robust.
Robust.
You could say robust. Doesn't robust sound like a nice word of saying just a click below fat?
No, buddy, you're not fat.
Well,
you're
there's
rebound.
Well, Charles Barkley.
There's another
round mound of rebound.
On 94.5 ESPN.
1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Climbed the ladder with a fastball at 92. Welcome back to the big leagues, Brandon Woodruff. An ortho ASAP strikeout for Big Woo. And we are off and running in South Florida.
You know, I tell stories for a living on ESPN. I love the redemptive arc. I love the folks that have gone through adversity and come back on the other side, maybe stronger, sometimes stronger. And Brandon Woodruff's story, guys, has every single marker. It checks every single box for one of those stories. Woodruff on the hill yesterday, pitching in his first game since September 23rd, 2023. Like, that in and of itself happens sometimes. Guys come back from injury, they get back out on the hill. But to only allow 1 run and 2 hits over 6 innings, leading the Brewers to a 3-1 win and 8 strikeouts in that outing, it wasn't just that he did it, guys. It was the way he did it. Absolutely dominant. I had all the warm and fuzzies, found myself as the game was going on yesterday going, at a kid, at a Woody, let's go. Let's, just rooting for him, rooting for this story, obviously rooting for the Brewers who ended up getting the win, as I mentioned. But Joshy, have you ever seen anything like this? I mean, what Brandon Woodruff has dealt with, even in the recent months of thinking he was going to make a start for the Brewers and having a setback, and then thinking he was going to make another start, but then having another setback during his rehab, to finally be out there 652 days after the last time he took the hill. I can't think of a story recently that is more incredible and more heartwarming.
Now, there came a point where I was wondering if we were going to see him pitch in a Brewers jersey again. Things just seemed to keep happening to Brandon Woodruff that were delaying his comeback and, factors against him. I started to wonder, is maybe something wrong with him and they're using all these stints on the IL as maybe ways to try and help him find his stride because maybe he didn't have it. I was honestly holding my breath a little bit in yesterday's game to start. Like, what's this going to look like? It's been a long time, as you said, September of 2023, since we've seen Brandon Woodruff pitch. And then he went out there and I think he had like 5 balls thrown through the first 4 innings. Like, he was just hammering the zone. He was on top of it, ended up only giving up 2 hits. It was one of those redemptive, because he is extremely likable, not only for what he's done for the Brewers on the field as a pitcher, hitting a home run in the playoffs, all of those things. There's plenty of reasons to like him, but also the guy is likable. And he was left out there as sort of the Brewers agreed to, hey, we'll let you rehab for a full year. We're looking towards the future with you. He was not someone that the rest of the MLB was going out of their way to get, despite the long track record of success for Brandon Woodruff. So it was a lot of fun to see him out there again. And then you start thinking and doing the mental math of, well, now we got Peralta, Miz, Woodruff. Come playoff time, nobody's going to want to see those 3 if all 3 of them are pitching well. You start to tell yourself stories of, maybe there's something more here than we may have given these Brewers credit for, especially after that rough start to the season.
Well, and it's funny because we keep talking about all of these great storylines within the Milwaukee Brewers this season. We have talked about the Miz exhaustively, which we will continue doing. Freddie Peralta yesterday named an all-star pitcher. We'll continue talking about the way he has gone about his business this season. You add in Woodruff, you add in some of those young players who we think, maybe had a case for being an all-star as well. Like, this is a team that is chock full of guys that are easy to root for. Yesterday, Brandon Woodruff threw 70 pitches. 53 were for strikes. If I were telling a story on ESPN or Game Day, I would also remind you that he wears the number 53. Like, those types of things you can't make up, right? They just happen and they make the story even much more compelling. So you were talking this morning about how all of these things, in addition to the other things that are going on in the Wisconsin sports landscape, have sort of set this up to be own the summer, Milwaukee Brewers. You can own the summer. If you continue rolling things out this way, you can be the biggest story in the state this summer.
Yeah, there's a confluence of factors here that are lining up perfectly for the Milwaukee Brewers. I think, one, we all recognize most of Wisconsin is a Packers first, no matter the time of year. But this year is one of the first times in recent memory that I can think back to, the past 5-6 years, where the Packers really have no drama. Obviously, last year, there was the Jordan Love holdout of training camp. Everyone was talking about what's going to happen with his contract. Is he going to get paid? Prior to that was, we know nothing about Jordan Love. They signed him to that weird extension that wasn't a 5th-year option and then was incentive-laden. And then the previous 3-4 years were, is or isn't Aaron Rodgers going to be back? So the Packers previously had taken up so much oxygen, even in the middle of the offseason. Obviously, we here all still love the Brewers. We watch the Brewers. We attend the games. But when things come to level of Aaron Rodgers, one of the biggest athletes in all of sports, it takes up a lot of the conversation. So the Brewers, even when they were playing well, were sort of the back burner conversation because it's a long MLB season, as Gabe will remind us at every opportunity. I also think Jacob Mizorowski sort of bursting onto the scene, being one of the best young prospects in all of baseball, and giving up, 2 hits through like most of his starts. Those factor into this being the Brewers have all the attention. Jacob Mizorowski just won NL Rookie of the Month. When you put that all together and you look around the landscape, you sort of go, the Brewers are it right now. They're in the running for the NL Central. They are going to be there competing against the Cubs. That is always something we're here paying attention to. So the fact that the Brewers sort of aren't ahead of them there, and there's in this battle, it's going to take probably the duration of the season to figure out where the seeding's going to end. Everything's coming up Brewers, and they are delivering for us as well.
Well, and
which is another factor.
You touched on it right there. The fact that they are in the mix, the fact that they are battling with the Cubs. You've got the Cubs storylines as well, obviously, which we have gone over ad nausea here. Like, this is the year where I am living and dying, and I said this to you guys. I made a conscious decision. I have slept, definitely not sleeped.
Nope.
I have sleepwalked. No, sleepwalked. It's definitely sleepwalked. We move on. I have sleepwalked through the regular season before, thinking I got to focus on other things. It's a busy time of year with the kids and whatnot. I'll get to the Brewers during the postseason. They're going to make a deep run. And I've been disappointed in having missed out on all of the emotional highs and even the lows that go along with a regular season of baseball. I'm not doing that this year, man. I am locked in. We are watching every pitch. We are sitting on the couch. We are sitting out on the patio, whatever it is. And we are enjoying the ride that these Milwaukee Brewers are taking us on. And Joshy, you make some excellent points about the landscape, right? Man, we are not talking about Jordan Love's contract. We are not talking about Aaron Rodgers and his dispute with the front office. We are not talking about any of those things. We will continue to, and it will obviously ramp up as training camp gets going and as we get to the preseason and whatnot. But right now, I can't encourage people enough to enjoy the ride that this team is taking them on. You just mentioned The Miz. We got The Miz versus Clayton Kershaw, one of the only Wilde veterans on the All-Star team this year. If you saw that, it's like Clayton Kershaw and a bunch of youngsters that will be in the Midsummer Classic. That's going to be an unbelievable, again, assuming Miz can bounce back from his last outing, which was not his best work, that's going to be an unbelievable day, an unbelievable atmosphere at AmFam Field tomorrow.
Yeah, and he just got his 3,000th strikeout, Clayton Kershaw, so he's not going to have that hanging over them. I think things are working out for the Brewers, too, with the storylines as well. The Paul Skeens versus the Miz matchup was, picture perfect. It had the entirety of the baseball world talking about it. It wasn't just local here, even though they sold out a day game during the week for Paul Skeens versus the Miz. All these factors of the Brewers, I think chasing also matters, too. I think the fact that it's the big bad Cubs up there, Craig Counsell, that rivalry existing as it is, and the Brewers improving as the season goes on, getting healthier, getting some of those guys back, make it all that more exciting, where I'm not giving much attention. Of course, the Bucks were a little piece of it there, the Miles Turner, but you could even add in the past the Dame Lillard factor. Remember how that took over the conversation for so long? Unless Giannis decides, which I don't think is going to happen at this point, that he's moving on, there's really nothing to take this from. And as a Wisconsin sports fan, it's almost refreshing where we get to talk about what's happening, not what could happen or what may happen or whose decisions might affect all the other decisions. We get to watch day in and day out. The Brewers go out there, put together an exciting team. They play a brand of baseball that makes you want to be locked in for every pitch. It's no longer those home run, walk, or strikeout factors. They've got people stealing. They use speed. They've got defense. And then they've got an exciting starting pitching to go along with it. I'm excited to watch this play out, and we are just getting started. The stakes are going to continue to rise as we go.
I'm going to do the thing where I am hyperbolic. I'm going to do the thing where I am leaning into best possible scenario. Could the Brewers have the best top 3 in the National League? When you put Freddie Peralta, who we just mentioned, is a 2-time All-Star now. When you talk about Woodruff, and again, we're probably getting ahead of ourselves on Woodruff because it was one outing, but wow, what an outing. And it does certainly, even if he were to recede a little bit, even if he were to regress to the mean a little bit, you've still got a very dominant pitcher. You've still got a really good guy as your number 3. And of course, we have talked about Mizorowski as well. If Woodruff can remain healthy, if Mizorowski can adapt to a full MLB season and manage some of his control issues, and if Freddie Peralta could just be Freddie Peralta, I mean, is it out of the realm of possibility to say that they have the 1, 2, 3, the best 1, 2, 3 in the National League? Or am I egregiously forgetting somebody else who's out there who should be given top billing?
I don't know if you're egregiously forgetting anyone. I'm trying to look here to see if I'm missing anything. Some of the teams that were expected to have some of the better starters, 1 through 3. For one of the first one that comes to mind here is the Diamondbacks. Well, they don't have Corbin Burns as he's out with Tommy John surgery. You look at another one to talk about is the Braves, Chris Sale, Spencer Strider. But they ended up losing, I think they've lost 2 guys to Tommy John, 2 of their starters. At this point, the Phillies are certainly in part of that consideration with guys like Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and Christopher Sanchez as well. That's probably the one you're looking at and going, they might have the Brewers there, but we still don't know what Jacob Mizorowski is. I certainly don't think he's going to go out there and be pushing perfect games or no hitters every single week, but he seems like the real deal. And one bad start in that situation has not made me pull back at all from what he might be. I just think his stuff is that dominant that he'll figure it out as he continues here. The big thing is, what does Brandon Woodruff look as he continues to get more and more work? I have no worries about Freddie Peralta. He was named rightfully so the All-Star for the Brewers. I think he deserves to be there. I probably think he deserves to be there more than he has to this point even. But it's, what does Woodruff end up doing when he has to go out there every 5th day instead of taking the time off, getting all that time? Is it going to improve his game? Is his velocity going to continue to increase, or is it going to be is he going to have to kind of figure things out, put games together, and maybe some days he's not going to have it, and you just got to grind it out? That's the big thing to figure out.
Josh, you did a good job of breaking down some of the other staffs. You mentioned the Phillies, you mentioned the Braves, the Diamondbacks. Seattle Mariners could also be on that list, but I think that they are dealing with some injuries as well to their starting staff. And then you talk about the San Francisco Giants. Obviously, they've got Verlander, Logan Webb, Robbie Ray out there. So there are some teams that obviously, and that, look, this is not unusual. This is what teams try to do, right? You try to have that steady, solid 1, 2, 3. You've got your ace, and then a few guys who can step in when necessary. But it feels like the Brewers right now with it's a variety too, right? You got the rookie flamethrower, you got the steady, consistent, top tier Freddie Peralta, and now you add Brandon Woodruff into the mix. It just feels like a very, very healthy time for this rotation. And again, we could go on and on about some of the young bats and whether or not they deserved a little bit more of a look for an all-star appearance as well. But it is such an exciting time to be following this Brew Crew. It was heartwarming. That was the word that kept coming to me yesterday, watching Brandon Woodruff out there on the hill doing work. 800-990-3776. Are you willing to buy that the Brewers have one of the best 1, 2, 3 in their rotation in the National League? Are you willing to buy that now after seeing what Brandon Woodruff did on the mound yesterday? 800-990-3776. You can weigh in on the Carbless Talk and Text line. You can weigh in on the YouTube stream, where you can always stream the show on our ESPN Milwaukee page. Still a lot of stuff to get to this morning. We're going to talk about the green and gold and talk a little bit about what the Bucks are doing and moves they may be in the market to make. We'll talk about that as the show rolls on. But first, guys, we have enjoyed having Professional Construction Inc. help with our home projects. As you might know, we're not the most handy people, but we can handle tiny projects. For the big ones, we always rely on our friends over at PCI. Mike and Michelle operate a family-owned company, Professional Construction Inc. They believe in building relationships and doing exceptional work on your projects. They've been in the business for more than 20 years, and you don't stick around like that unless you're doing good work. You can learn more about PCI and see some of their work at professionalconstructioninc.com. Maybe even take a peek into our basement, which they did for us last year. It's professionalconstructioninc.com, professionalconstructioninc.com.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy are back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Northbound 41, going to be a tight squeeze. We've got a crash at Capitol Drive blocking that left lane. So we've got big delays all the way back to Watertown Plank Road. So keep that in mind. On the southbound side, slowing down from Appleton Avenue all the way down past Hampton. We've also got an issue on Capitol Drive. We've got some pavement damage on eastbound Capitol Drive at Beaufort Drive or Yukon Road. We've got some lane closures possibly happening right through that area. Also on the westbound side of 894 on the ramp to get on to southbound Rock Freeway, we've got some tire debris in the roadway. They may have to close off the lane to try to sweep that away. Traffic is brought to you by the Bud Pavilion's free concert series Wednesday Night Live. Gates open Wednesday at 6 with live music starting at 7. Generation Z takes the stage Wednesday Night Live at the Bud Pavilion at State Fair Park. And check out the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today. A few clouds, then mostly sunny, a high of 75 at the lake, 81 inland. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 64. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
A SoFi personal loan is here to help you achieve something once thought impossible: overcoming high-interest credit card debt. Walk the tightrope of your finances with one low, fixed-rate monthly payment, no fees required, and as soon as the same-day funding. That's right. Pull off your own debt-defying stunt with a SoFi personal loan. Visit SoFi.com/trick to learn more. Loans originated by SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. NMLS 696891.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
It's racing season. That means Road America in Elkhart Lake is the place to be. ESPN Wisconsin's Ben Brust and IndyCar driver Graham Rahal chat about what makes Road America special for drivers and fans.
What makes Road America so unique and different than anywhere else that you go?
I think it's the length of the straightaways. You know, in an IndyCar, there's 3 places on that racetrack that, in essence, you hit maximum velocity. There's no other track that we go to year-round where that's the case. And I think that's what the drivers all love about it. From a fan's perspective, you love it because it's easy to get around. You can see a lot of different places. You know, you can sit up on the hill watching the last corner, eat a brat, get some sweet corn, and see that side of it. But then, of course, you can also, go back by the Canada corner. So many different aspects, different areas to watch, to cheer on your favorite driver. I think that's what's so cool and unique about this place as well.
Be part of race day this summer at Road America. Visit roadamerica.com. You're listening to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Do you like your pickles warm or cold?
Want my pickle a little warm.
Warm's good.
It's better than cold.
Cold
You
can
got
be
shrinkage.
good too.
Yeah, well, no,
Cold
shrinkage
can
gets
be good.
involved. It's not great.
On 94.5 ESPN.
Mark Murphy has delivered his final Murphy Takes 5. We'll get into that as the show rolls on. He said, "Hasta la vista, baby." That's his call-off, sign-off, whatever it is, Joshy.
Yeah, I did enjoy him leading with, "Sorry, this is going to be a long one this time." And it's like, of course, Mark. We know every time you get the opportunity, and let's be honest, he deserves the opportunity. It's a little strange. There's a CEO of a major team that takes emailed in questions, but everyone was under the understanding you were going to use every piece of that piece to talk about all you wanted.
He had to tell people what hasta la vista, baby means? Is that because, like, there's a whole generation that doesn't know that that's, like, a line from Terminator 2? Will?
Terminator. Yeah, I knew that.
I don't think it's Will knew.
I knew that.
I think he's lying.
Hasta la vista, baby.
All right, that was totally worth it. Totally worth it. So in it, he talks about leaving the Packers better than he found them. And to your point, I don't think there's a single person out there that would say, yeah, the Packers are in worse shape after Mark Murphy's tenure than they were before he took over. But I also think that it's one of those hairs that I am perfectly fine splitting. From a health of a franchise standpoint, the Green Bay Packers are fantastic, very healthy.
They'll remind you about that rainy day fund.
Flush with cash.
Yes.
But from a championship standpoint, guys, they have underperformed. They have underdelivered. Now, Mark Murphy may be able to say, well, I don't control that. I'm not a coach. I'm not the GM. But he is directly responsible for hiring those people. So there is obviously a part of him that is responsible for how things shake out on the field. Are you okay with Mark Murphy distancing himself from the number of championships this team has won under his watch, Joshy?
I think I have a hard time really making a case that it's directly his fault. I do think when he made the structure of the team as he did with everyone reporting to him, he then did, in a way, take responsibility to a degree of hiring and firing, which means if the coach or GM aren't performing to expectation, that ultimately is on you to make changes. I have a hard time arguing that the hires he made, Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur, were incorrect or bad hires. They certainly haven't done anything to deserve being fired at this point, but they haven't delivered the top-end success that we would hope. You moved from one franchise quarterback to another immediately, and there's some credit to be deserved there for getting ahead of the Aaron Rodgers thing to a degree, even though that kind of carried out as long as you could imagine it going. But you can't on one end say, well, you're not responsible for what happens on the field, but also then put all the responsibility in your job description of those guys and managing them. Ed Policy, when he was given opportunity to speak, came out and said he wanted to increase meetings and increase the communication that happened between all the levels of Russ Ball, Brian Gutekunst, and Matt LaFleur, which is in and of itself implicitly saying it was inadequate. The current version and the way we've gotten used to things around here, it hasn't been a productive way to do things, which that happens a lot when you get a new boss, things like that change. But there is some inside of that telling you, well, it wasn't going good enough, or things we weren't communicating here to the degree we should, which has been something we've talked about for a long time. Matt LaFleur isn't at the combine. He's not doing a lot of those things that traditionally coaches have done in the past. Mark Murphy made Lambeau a destination. He increased all of that. He got the NFL draft, one of the bigger events we've seen here. I would put the draft higher on things he's accomplished than the championship, because that championship came pretty early in his tenure as a member of the Green Bay Packers. To me, I think he is more involved with football decisions than maybe we're led to believe, but he's not calling plays. He's not on the field. So how much can you blame him for things going poorly? Like, the Packers have had ample opportunity and have seemed strangely to find themselves on the wrong end of a lot of those playoff games in ways you didn't think were possible.
One of the questions that really stood out to us as we were watching it was, it's time, Gutekunst, to call Cincinnati and get Trey Hendrickson. You have the money to bring him in. Don't F this up. He can change the whole defense. You know damn well he can. Don't F this up this time. Fix the defense with one move. A-hole.
So there is Mark Murphy did a little narrative here. The question preceding this one was a man who emailed him and said, I, funny enough, was CEO at the company I worked at for 17 years. And I took a piece of your advice where I took feedback from my employees in a meeting every single month. And they were allowed to ask or say really anything. And despite how, I forget the word he used exactly, but despite the obnoxiousness of the question or the way it was delivered, I still went out there in front of all of my company and said, hey, this is a response to what you offered me. So then he immediately follows that up with Chris, who he belabored the point of being a long time Packers fan and basically blamed him for the Packers not acquiring Trey Hendrickson and TJ Watt. So it was a little wink and nod Mark Murphy gave there because, as we know, he's always the comedian. Always got to take his opportunity to be like, hey, look at what this person said to me, and thanks for the feedback.
And he said, no question, Sam, but thanks for your input. And it feels like a good segue as we continue talking about Mark Murphy here as he is hanging him up and will be finished at the end of this month with his tenure as Green Bay Packers president. It feels like a good transition to this other space.
Can I ask something quick here?
Yeah, of course.
So we know at the owners' meeting, they're going to do like the transition for the fans. It's going to be public. How long do we think Mark Murphy speaks uninterrupted before giving the mic to Ed Policy? I've got the over-under at 30 minutes.
What?
No.
That's outrageous.
I think. Do you remember the Matt LaFleur introductory press conference?
I do, yes.
I forgot Matt LaFleur was there because Mark Murphy took every opportunity to speak endlessly at
Do you know how hard it is to talk for 30 minutes?
Do you know Mark Murphy?
The fact that he's really good at making things that aren't about him.
Yes.
So the fact that this is about him.
Right. This is his opportunity in front of a captive audience he's going to probably endorse his golf course that they own up there near Green Bay. Like, he's going to spend a lot of time patting himself on the back. And I'm no stranger to the self-pat on the back. Let me be clear on that one. But Mark Murphy's going to have a stand-up routine. He's going to be telling jokes. I think he speaks 30 minutes.
I'm taking the under. If you're setting it at 29.5, I'm taking the under. Absolutely. I think he goes maybe 15, maybe. Whoa, you almost cursed on the air there, buddy. I didn't realize that it was such an egregious suggestion by me.
15 is light. 15, I'm going to ask them to check on him. Is he okay? Is he feeling all right? This is the man who went on the WIA and announced that the Packers are likely trading Aaron Rodgers. He loves a microphone. He's going to be set 50-yard line on a stage. The Mark Murphy retirement, they're going to play a video, I'm sure. And he's just going to bask in it.
I'm just saying, do you know how hard it is to talk for 30 minutes? And I know you think that this is like in his DNA. That is a long time. That is a long speech.
Had he not already spoken for 30 minutes uninterrupted, I would agree with you.
Is that how long he talked at Matt LaFleur's press conference?
I believe it was more than 30 minutes.
It cannot be more than 30 minutes.
Gabe Neitzel, I'll send him a text here. I believe he knows the minutes exactly that he spoke because I'll never forget sitting there waiting as part of the job to record and figure out what's going to happen and, the quotes from the new coach. I remember sitting there thinking, I can't believe this man's still talking because I was watching it live. I think he goes 30 minutes, and I think I'm selling it a little short.
I'm Googling it right now. How long did Mark Murphy talk at the Matt LaFleur press conference? At the Matt LaFleur introductory press conference, the entire event lasted roughly 45 minutes, but that's the entire event. It doesn't say here. So we will have to reach out to our buddy Gabe Neitzel, who is off this week, and see if he knows how long it took for Mark Murphy to talk at the Matt LaFleur press conference. Because I got to say, 29.5, that seems outrageous for the over-under of how long Mark Murphy's speech will be at his goodbye at the changing of the guard, if you will, up at Lambeau Field.
He's going to tell his whole bio. That's 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes. And then he's going to just probably get into listing all the things he accomplished and then list the things that he fell short on. And then he's going to talk about Ed Policy before giving Ed Policy the microphone.
Will, it seems like you're in agreement with Joshy here, huh?
I think he's going to take forever. I mean, even at the draft, he had a couple moments where he was very long-winded when he shouldn't have been.
All right, we're going to put this on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll as well. The Infinity Exteriors Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll. We're setting the over-under at 29.5. Mark Murphy will speak for more than that or less than that. Consecutively, like you can't combine, little speeches and put them together. You can't snap them together. It has to be start to finish. 800-990-3776. Matt and Racine weighing in saying, is it a captive audience or a captured audience for Mark Murphy? Still want to get to this sound from Jeremy Fowler on Get Up about the Packers and the pass rush market. That's next. Stick around.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN. Insight from the best without ever giving it a rest.
Goody is very consistent. He believes in young players. He believes he's put a good team together.
The best 60 minutes of your day happens on the Homer Hour.
The Packers have been good under Goody, just not good enough. Packers have been good under LaFleur, just not good enough.
Weekday afternoons from 5 to 6 on 94.5 ESPN, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. This summer, I'm getting relief from the hot sun whenever I need it with my motorized retractable awning from Comfort Awnings. Sensors are also available that detect strong wind and rain to extend or retract your awning. They even protect against UV radiation so you can safely enjoy the outdoors all summer long. Family owned and located in Burlington, Comfort Awnings expertly installs custom awnings that fit your home and style. Right now, you can receive $250 off all awnings and screens. Call 414-AWNINGS or visit comfortawnings.com.
Summer is here, and your taste buds deserve the best. Carbless is perfect for the pool, the lake, or hanging out by the fire. Full of flavor with 0 sugars, only 100 calories, and made with premium spirits. Don't just settle for something overly carbonated and those flavorless seltzers. Carbless has full flavor with every sip, not just a hint. So when you're ready to take a drink and ready to chill, Carbless is clean, crisp, and won't leave you feeling bloated. Find your bliss today at drinkcarbless.com.
Buying a new roof might not be the most exciting thing you'll do this year, but for us at Big Fish Contracting, being chosen to do that roof for you not only provides income for multiple families in southeastern Wisconsin, but has a global reach and impact around the world. To us, it's more than just a roof. We've been earning trust for over 2 decades, roofing, siding, windows, and more. Go to bigfishcontracting.com to learn how Big Fish is renovating homes and redeeming an industry.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all off season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee.
This fall, there's only one place to be, Camp Randall Stadium. Wisconsin football returns with can't-miss matchups, including Maryland, Iowa, Washington, and more. From the first touchdown to jump around and the celebration of the 5th quarter. Experience the traditions and unforgettable memories that make Wisconsin football so special. Single-game tickets are now on sale. Lock in your spot today by visiting uwbadgers.com or call 1-800-GO-BADGERS. Wisconsin football game day starts here. We'll see you at Camp Randall.
Windows, windows, windows. You hear all about everyone's windows and how theirs are the greatest. I'll tell you, our windows are the best as well. Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited, and I'm right there with you. We've taken the most trusted brand in windows, Pella, and paired them with such an outstanding business that we will deliver results to you at your home. Siding Unlimited has won Pella's prestigious 5-time Pella Platinum Premier National Contractor of the Year award. Siding Unlimited is the company to install your new windows.
Whether you're a local who wants to enjoy a night out or you're planning to visit Milwaukee, enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel, conveniently located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee's Theater District. With deluxe accommodations, culinary creativity, on-site art galleries, artist in residence, and nightly live music, you'll enjoy every element of your stay at St. Kate. Learn more and book your stay at stkatearts.com.
Your state, your teams, your ESPN. The ESPN Wisconsin app. Customizable just for you. Find the ESPN Wisconsin app in the Apple or Android app stores today. It's Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Big hurt. I heard that's like,
Ron and the Key wagon saying you guys should slow down before you take on a sponsor.
Here I am.
On 94.5 ESPN.
Lots of conversations that you can weigh in on this morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. We were talking about your Milwaukee Brewers and the stretch that they are on, the run that they are having, and the success that Brandon Woodruff had yesterday and how that may contribute to success for the team going forward. We talked about could they be the top 1, 2, 3 as far as pitchers in the National League go. Let us know on the Infinity Exterior poll. Then we also asked you if we set the over-under at 29.5 for minutes Mark Murphy will speak at his conclusionary press conference when they do the changing of the guard to ed policy a little bit later this month. Would you take the over or would you take the under? I'm taking the under because, God, there must be some level of self-awareness here. Must be a smidgen of self-awareness here. Joshy's not so sure.
You could say a lot of things about Mark Murphy. I don't know if the first 500 would contain self-awareness.
Fair enough.
Let's be honest here. This is his retirement party. This is his swan song. This is his last opportunity to hold the captive or captured audience at his beck and will. It is going to be like he'll spend 10 minutes just giving his background. I came from X. I played for the Washington football team, Northwestern. Then I came here. Like, it's going to be a long, long time.
Fair enough. I guess I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping that that rational heads prevail. I want to get to this.
I'm going to give advice to us here who are professionally we're going to be cutting the audio so we can then repurpose for all the fans that listen to ESPN Wisconsin. I'm going to say you're going to want to set aside an hour of your time. Because he's going, before you get to things that are actually usable, he's going to take all the time he can.
A little internal advice there from Josh DiMaggio. I want to get to the sound from Jeremy Fowler, who was on Get Up. And we have been talking about the areas that the Packers could upgrade their roster. I have been adamant. I have been frustrated at the resistance and reluctance to go out and get a pass rusher to improve that unit. Well, here's what Jeremy Fowler has to say about the Green Bay Packers and the pass rush market.
Yeah, I'm going to make TJ Watt happy, the player. Hey, come home to Wisconsin, baby. Come play for the home area Packers. The Green Bay Packers are actually low-key looking at the pass rush market around free agency, potential trades, potential signings. They have some new cap space after they moved on from Jair Alexander, the star cornerback. Why not use that money to make TJ Watt the highest-paid edge rusher?
Joshy, your reaction to that bit of information from Jeremy Fowler on Get Up.
My reaction is, why did you have to do that to me, Jeremy? We spent so much time talking about both the pass catchers and the edge rushers. We discussed how it seemed like via the pre-draft visits and the scouting they were doing that the Packers were signaling to us they were both unhappy with those two rooms specifically. When they had the Shamar Stewarts in, some of those guys who we ended up saying, like, it doesn't seem like there's actually really Michael Williams that they end up getting there. But the fact that they're going out of their way to have these guys in would tell me they still want to upgrade that position despite all the assets they've sent at it. They were able to, via the way the draft broke, get two guys for the pass catchers. To me, I think the Packers wanted to address it, but they didn't find the opportunity to do it. And you can argue about, well, you don't need that second wide receiver, whatever, however you want to do it. But sometimes opportunity doesn't strike when it's the most advantageous
convenient.
To you. Right. I'm still going to always side-eye any sort of trade and then also sign to extension when it comes to Brian Gutekunst. I find it very hard to believe he's going to. I mean, what is TJ Watt going to be? A top 3 paid edge rusher in all of the league? They certainly have money to work with. You start having to look around, though, what happens with Zach Tom, what happens to some of those guys you want to extend. I don't think it's realistic. I think if anything happens, it's like a late camp addition and it's sort of a veteran body added. I don't see how the Packers can justify, aside from parting ways with LVN early and hoping that that team that you're reaching out to, this in this case being the Pittsburgh Steelers, can make a case for him being, a longer, better piece to add to a team. But they're in such a spot right now where this is it for Aaron Rodgers. He came out and said it. Even if things are acrimony, if there's acrimony there between TJ Watt and the Steelers, it's the NFL. Either you show up and play or you get fined for it. He's under contract. I find it really hard to believe they would make the decision knowing what they know about their sort of window here. It's this year or not. Why would they make him available to anyone else?
So let me give you the trade proposal that Bleacher Report put together. Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers. Green Bay Packers receive TJ Watt. Pittsburgh Steelers receive Lucas Van Ness, Romeo Doubs, 2026 first round pick, 2026 third round pick. Now we know how Brian Gutekunst feels about his draft picks. Yes. It would be tough for him to part with a first round pick in 2026 and a third round pick in 2026. But would you be okay with that proposal for TJ Watt, who we know is a game wrecker, game changer at the position that I feel like right now, you could make the argument for cornerback, but I feel like right now they are the most desperate for upgrade?
I would agree to it instantly. I think it's probably better for both LVN and Romeo Doubs to get that sort of second team, that new atmosphere, new teammates, new coaching staffs to sort of, here's your second chance. Here's your opportunity to go out and prove you deserve to be there. Adding Romeo Doubs is, I think, probably a factor that is something they'd be interested in, because they did lose George Pickens. If you look around, they did add Jonnu Smith, who's going to be another addition there from Miami. I have a hard time, though, figuring out why they would want those picks, other than after Aaron Rodgers leaves, they combined their 2 picks and maybe their extra picks to go up and get one of the young quarterbacks coming in. That's really the only situation. But losing TJ Watt is such a downgrade. The Packers become like an NFC favorite with the addition of TJ Watt. And I think they harm themselves to a degree that I don't know is going to be worth it, even if they look at it and say this compensation is good enough. This is probably what it should cost. And even if Brian Gutekunst says, yeah, what is the contract terms that TJ Watt's looking for? Is he looking to be the highest paid, or is he just looking to get some more guaranteed money as he enters the late stages of his career?
And that's where I always, again, ripping my hair out with frustration at this situation, because we had talked years ago about how you can't be the team that is paying all of these guys number one in the league, right? We talked about Jair Alexander, and we talked about David Bakhtiari, and how these guys are being paid top dollar in the league, and how many positions can you actually afford that at? Well, but you're not there anymore. You aren't paying a bunch of these guys top dollar. You can pay one guy who clearly, like I have said, elevates your team into the Super Bowl conversation, certainly the NFC Championship conversation, by adding this one piece. If you're willing to part with a top draft pick that you missed on, if you're willing to admit that you missed on it, a wide receiver at a position where you have a quote-unquote log jam, and then draft picks. I got to be honest, it's the combination of those things that are going to be really difficult for Brian Gutekunst to swallow, right? It's not just the pick that he missed on. It's not just the draft picks. And then, of course, Romeo Doubs, like we have said, you have too many wide receivers. Somebody's going to be on the chopping block at the end of the year anyway. A couple of those guys who we really like will likely not make the roster, will be on the practice squad. Can you get something of incredible, immense value for Romeo Doubs and a few more pieces? That's going to be a tough thing for Brian Gutekunst to wrap his brain around.
Yeah, and then once you get past the assets, you have to get to what is he going to command in terms of money, and what would that look like when you try and extend some of your young players? Because the Packers are building out. Which of these guys do we have on the roster? Do we think have the potential to be one of the higher paid? Like immediately, I think the Packers need to start cooking the books to make sure Edgerrin Cooper fits. We all think Zach Tom's going to have to find a place to fit. There's guys out there. What's going to happen with Jaden Reed? Like you have to count down the line. Is Jordan Love still going to be here? How much is that going to be as the cap continues to increase and quarterbacks continue to just escalate in terms of pay? How are you going to figure all those things in? You can make the case for Rashawn Gary's number probably coming off the books here and making it a little bit easier to swallow down the road. But his age and what he's going to command in terms of pay, is he going to be on the field enough to make those assets you gave up in the future pay off in the long term? And that is, I think, probably where they're going to be stuck figuring out how that works.
Again, this conversation coming up because Jeremy Fowler on Get Up says the Packers are low-key looking at the pass rush market around free agency, potential trades, potential signings, now that they have new cap space after moving on from Jair Alexander. And, of course, that's when people start wondering if T.J. Watt is actually somebody they would kick the tires on and could potentially bring in.
I want to update us here. We talked about our Mark Murphy conversation. I text Gabe to figure out how long he spoke before Matt LaFleur's press conference. He had it around 20 minutes. I then asked, how long will he speak over under 29 and a half minutes at the owners' meeting? Gabe says, and I quote, "It's his last time to command a mic with a crowd that large. I'm hammering the over."
Hammer the over, according to Gabe Neitzel. We put that on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Infinity Exteriors poll. The over-under is 29.5. Will Mark Murphy go over or under at his conclusionary press conference as they change the guard to Ed Policy? If you're buying or building a new home, Great Midwest Bank will help you guide the process every step of the way. Great Midwest Bank takes care of us, and they give us the best options. So when you are ready for your next big life decision, get fast and flexible mortgage pre-approvals straight from Great Midwest Bank's experienced and, most importantly, local loan officers. From start to finish, bank with confidence. Great Midwest Bank is your simply local equal housing lender. See all of their customizable products at greatmidwestbank.com.
Yeah, we got delays out there for sure. Southbound on 41, slowing from Good Hope Road all the way down to about Burleigh. Northbound is backing up from Blue Mound Road all the way up past Capitol Drive, almost to Hampton. We do still have this accident northbound 43, just north of Hampton. Looks like the left shoulder is blocked. Now, this is behind the barrel, so at least we don't have the main line affected other than your delays there. We've got backups coming in from about Keefe up to that accident scene. Southbound's a little backed up again from Silver Spring all the way down past Hampton. Eastbound 94, lots of company there from 84th Street all the way through the stadium. And then on northbound 4394, starting to slow down coming out of the Plainfield curve all the way up past Lincoln. We did have some debris in the roadway on the southbound side right around Beecher Street. Looks like they were able to get that out of the way. Traffic is brought to you by Lake Lawn Resort. Lake Lawn Resort offers everything you need, from lakeside rooms to gourmet dining and a luxurious spa. Relax, recharge, and enjoy the best of Delavan. Book your stay now at lakelawnresort.com. And check out the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today. A few clouds, then mostly sunny, a high of 75 at the lake, 81 inland. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 64. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Turn your driveway into the basketball court of your dreams with Precision Sports, Southeastern Wisconsin's dealer for Mega Slam, Ironclad, and Dominator hoop systems. From installation to customizable painted court lines, Precision Sports is a slam dunk. PrecisionSportsOnline.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Kyle Wallace. Choose from payments as low as $99 a month or 12 months with no payments and no interest, plus a free in-home window and energy assessment. Restrictions apply. Call 414-410-2000.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
The Bud Pavilion's free concert series Wednesday Night Live is a must this summer. This Wednesday, gates open at 6 with music from Generation Z starting at 7. Epic bands, unforgettable nights. It's Wednesday Night Live at the Bud Pavilion at State Fair Park with Generation Z.
You're listening to 94.5 ESPN, WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee, a Good Karma Brands radio station. Showtime. The right way to start your day. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Like Batman's been going strong for 80 years.
I'm sorry, I did not realize I was sitting amongst big Batman.
You won't believe what happened with Watley today. It got back to him that I made this little dentist joke, and he got all offended. Those people. It's gonna be so touchy.
Those people. Listen to yourself.
I did not realize that you were like king or president of the big Batman fan club. This is news to me.
No, is Batman fantastic? Yeah, Batman's fantastic.
You think that dentists are so different from me and you? They came to this country just like everybody else in search of a dream.
Watley's from Jersey.
Yes, and now he's a full-fledged American.
You're just Batman ignorant.
I don't think I'm Batman ignorant. I think I am.
You're a Batman hater.
You're anti-Batite. There we go.
Kramer, he's just a dentist.
Yeah, and you're an anti-dentite.
I am not an anti-dentite.
You're a rabid anti-dentite.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamorro. Here's Jen Latta.
Running her mouth, she wants to ride it, she's trying to hide it. I'm cool as ever, she's too excited.
Back here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning. No Gabe, no Chew, but we got Josh and we got full-time Will behind the glass holding it down.
Is today's Will's first day officially full-time? Look at that.
First day.
Set yourself a little air horn off there.
I wouldn't recommend doing that on company time.
Thanks, Josh.
Let's get to this list from NFL.com. Congratulations to you, Will, on the move from part-time to full-time. NFL.com has started to release their list of the top 100 players of 2025. Now, it is just the first 10, as far as I know, Josh, right? That's all they've released so far?
The NFL.com will string out for, I believe, about a month as they release piece by piece each one of these. But there is some interesting names in the first 10 there already. The one that stuck out to me, and I think everyone else, is Tua Tagovailoa made the list.
Tua Tagovailoa at what number?
91, I believe.
What?
Yes.
Would you consider that just sneaking in if there are 9 players behind you, Tua Tagovailoa?
I considered it sneaking in because he's the last quarterback that's going to appear on the list. So he was the last one included in that. But yeah, 91 makes him somewhat safe. But there's like all pros behind him. Creed Humphrey, who's like won the all pro for center multiple years in a row, or not multiple years throughout his career. Like, to me, he has a better claim to being higher on that list. But as we all know, quarterbacks take precedence.
Correct. And for whatever it's worth, this is a major fall for Tua Tagovailoa, who I believe was 55 last year, according to this list at NFL.com. So we do want to do a few things with the list. The list in and of itself is not all that interesting, but you can start to extrapolate some things from it. Namely, as you mentioned, if Tua Tagovailoa is 91 on the list, we believe that Jordan Love will be in the top 100 by NFL.com, correct?
Yeah, I find it very hard to argue. If you look at Tua's stats last year, now he had injuries, and that factors in here, but he had like less than 3,000 passing yards. Yeah, 2,867, 19 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Like, it wasn't that impressive of a year for Tua by any means. So, to me, I feel pretty confident about Jordan Love being on the list, and I think he has a decent chance to crack the top 50.
Top 50? Where would you put him in quarterbacks?
I think he's going to come, and it depends on where it ends, but I think in that 12 to 8 range is probably where we see Jordan Love falling. He also had the injury and missed time, but I also think you sort of draft off a little bit of your reputation, as we saw here with Tua, who missed plenty of games last season.
You mentioned some of those numbers for the guys. FantasyPros.com lists Jordan Love as the number 17 quarterback in fantasy points. Again, take it for what it's worth. They have Tua Tagovailoa listed as the 22nd quarterback as far as fantasy points go. In yards last year, Jordan Love absolutely demolished Tua Tagovailoa. 33.89 for Jordan, 28.67 for Tua. And in a lot of the categories, Jordan Love was leaps and bounds better than Tua Tagovailoa. So I think it is fair to say he will be on the list higher than Tua. The other thing that we are interested in looking at is of the teams in the division. Obviously, we're talking about the Lions, the Vikings, the Bears, and the Packers. Which team will have the most? And again, it is sort of a blind guess, but we can look at it and say, well, in the top 10, or in the bottom 10, the first 10 that have been listed, Sam Laporta is there, listed at 94. Obviously, the tight end for the Detroit Lions. That makes me think that there will be a good chunk of the Lions players. There are other lists that have been put out where we have seen the Lions very well represented. Is it a foregone conclusion that the Lions will have the most players of the NFC North teams on this list, Joshy?
I think it is, and I think the Lions are going to have a few guys that are pretty high up there in terms of their ranking. Now, Aiden Hutchinson, as we know, missed a ton of time, but was leading the league in sacks. I think he probably still is on that list. Like, they have sort of a guy at every level that you can talk about. Like, Penny Sewell is probably going to be a top 10 for sure. Yeah. Jared Goff almost certainly is going to rank higher than him. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be on that list. Kirby Joseph. Like, there's enough guys where you look around and make the case for the Lions being probably one of the teams in all of the NFL, not just the NFC North, that are going to be a leader. Like, the Lions have a real chance to have the most out of any NFL team. And then the real challenge becomes between, I think, the Packers and Vikings. Aaron Jones did make this list as well.
Yep, 98.
As the first entry for the Vikings. I think it's going to come down to sort of one or two names different on there. The Vikings certainly have the top-end guy, Justin Jefferson, who's probably going to be a top 10 to 12 himself. And then after that, you sort of have to piece together where do they value some of those linemen, some of those edge rushers, and like a guy like Jordan Addison, a guy like TJ Hawkinson, where do they all fall in? The interesting thing to me is Sam Laporta being where he is on this list at 94, a fall of 14. Feels like the guy I thought might have a chance at this. Tucker Kraft is probably going to be on the outside looking in. I think the case you make for Tucker Kraft is not only did he have some incredible plays last season in terms of catching and carrying the ball down the field, but he's also a very good blocker, which Sam Laporta just doesn't have in his bag the same way. But him being ahead of him and the way I think they're both perceived nationally at this point is going to keep Tucker Kraft off of it, which is immediately going to be lowering the number for me.
So here's what I want to do. I want to take the players for the Green Bay Packers when we come back from break that we believe deserve to be on this list. And I don't know that there are going to be a ton of them, right? Because we have talked about the lack of quote-unquote superstars for green and gold. So let's figure out the players that we believe are going to be on this list. And let's take it one step further and try to figure out which group of 10 we think they will be in. This will be a fun activity that we can then look at as they are unveiled week by week or day by day, whatever it ends up being, and see how accurate we were. Look, it is possible that we overinflate the Green Bay Packers players. We watch them, we know their stories. There is a part of us that is rooting for them because their success begets team success. I'm interested to know how our perception of these players matches or conflicts with what NFL.com says. So when we come back from break, Joshy, Will, and I will try to hammer out the Packers players that we believe will be on the NFL.com top 100 players of 2025 list. The open road is calling your name, and the ride begins at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. This July, you could burn some major rubber on a custom Harley-Davidson of your dreams in the Fire Up Your Fantasy motorcycle giveaway. Play with your rewards card all July for entries. Thursday drawings for extra cash and reward play. Fire Up Your Fantasy is only at Potawatomi. You must be 21 and a rewards member to play. There is more information available online.
Your state, your teams, your ESPN. The ESPN Wisconsin app. Find the ESPN Wisconsin app in the Apple or Android app stores today. More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
Northbound 43, got a little bit more of a backup right now. We do have this crash on the other side of the barrels. It's off on the left, right about at Hampton. Delays basically starting around Keefe all the way up past Hampton. The southbound side, you're seeing delays right past Good Hope Road, and then again from Silver Spring down almost to Hampton. Westbound 94, all clear at the moment with one exception right before you get to Moreland Road. You can see a little bit of a pocket of heavy traffic. Eastbound is going to be slow from around just east of 76th Street through the stadium. And then on 41, on the northbound side, we've got a crash off on the right shoulder at Watertown Plank Road. Beyond that, though, delays stretch all the way up to Capitol Drive. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today, a few clouds and mostly sunny, a high of 75 at the lake, 81 inland tonight, mostly clear, a low of 64. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
The team you'll always remember.
There will be no undefeated champion on Wisconsin.
With a reunion you'll never forget.
And I went to shake hands, and they just dabbed me, hit me. And I remember we turned around and I looked at him and I said, game over.
Relive Made 'em Believe starting July 8th on ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube and the ESPN Wisconsin app. Brought to you by M3 Insurance Company, Potosi Varsity Ale, and Potosi Hard Seltzers. Made 'em Believe. Available starting July 8th.
Hey, this is Mike from Infinity Exteriors. Buying a roof, siding, or windows can feel overwhelming. Hidden costs, confusing contracts. We don't play that game. We educate you so you can decide. And when you know the facts, Infinity Exteriors is the clear choice. Since 1997, we've installed peace of mind with no surprise upcharges, flexible budgets, and immediate financing. Infinity Exteriors, saving our communities from unscrupulous contractors. Visit infinityexteriors.com.
Open road is calling, and the ride begins at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. This July, you could burn rubber on a custom Harley-Davidson in the Fire Up Your Fantasy motorcycle giveaway. Play with your rewards card all July for entries. Thursday drawings for extra cash and reward play. Fire Up Your Fantasy, only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
This is Kevin Moret from Mentality. Men, you're being robbed of your potential. Research shows a shocking 1% annual decline in testosterone levels. That's why building muscle feels impossible and your confidence is at an all-time low. But here's the truth. You're not alone in this uphill battle. Mentality's physician-directed, FDA-approved treatment doesn't just level the playing field, it restores your body's powerful balance. Our patients experience a documented 30% increase in their testosterone levels. Stop struggling and turn this around. Defy the odds and reclaim your masculine edge at mentalityhealth.com/radio.
Evan Cohen here. Whether you're locking in your home run picks or riding with your favorite golfers this summer, ESPN Bet is your sports book for all the action. Go from checking stats on your favorite teams and players to placing bets in just a few taps. Plus, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York. Evan Cohen here. According to a recent ZipRecruiter survey, 76% of employers plan to expand headcount for 2025. If you're one of these employers, add ZipRecruiter's latest feature, Zip Intro, to your hiring plan. It does most of the work for you, so you save time. Just pick a time, and Zip Intro finds and schedules qualified candidates for you. You can even meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/USL. That's ZipRecruiter.com/USL.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
There's two things she counts in the house. One of the pictures. What do you think the other one is?
Firearms.
Viagra.
On 94.5 ESPN.
We put it on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Infinity Exteriors poll. Which NFC North team will have the most players on the NFL.com top 100 players of 2025? They have released the first 10 Or I suppose the last 10, depending on how you want to look at it. They are 91 through 100. Aaron Jones is on that list, and Sam Laporta is also on that list. So one for the Vikings and one for the Lions already. The first element of this next exercise was us figuring out which of the Packers players we think are actually going to be on the list. And so I think we are sort of in agreement that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5? Is 5 the number we came up with?
I think 5 is the right number with the information we have currently. I think I would try and make a case for Edgerrin Cooper, but that's sort of a little early to me. He wasn't a full-time player. He's probably not going to be recognized that way.
But a lot of hype around him, though, Josh.
But I certainly think in 2026 he's going to fully cement himself as a member of the top 100.
Would you be shocked if he was in one of these low groups, 70 to 80, 80 to 90?
No, I wouldn't be shocked because as I look through some of the past numbers here, there seems to be guys that don't really deserve to be there and who likely won't be there. And there seems also to be guys who are ranked just far too low. Trey Hendrickson sticks out last year. Now, in 2023, he had 17 and a half sacks. And then he was ranked 77th.
Oh.
To which then he went out and had 17 and a half more sacks in 2024.
So he certainly outperformed the 77th spot in the league
and
last year.
Amari Cooper here is 70th on the list. He's not going to make it. Cooper Kupp is 69th. So there's a lot of room for moving and shaking here. I have a hard time seeing them recognizing Edgerrin Cooper that instantly as a member of the top 100.
So let's get it going here as we decide who we believe is going to be on the NFL top 100 players of 2025 that wear the green and gold. Let's begin, obviously, with Jordan Love. Because Tua Tagovailoa is on this list, albeit in the final grouping of the 10s, Jordan Love is better than Tua Tagovailoa. We just told you that. Where do you think Jordan Love will slot on this list? We're grouping it by 10s. It's not exact because, like we said, it goes 90 to 100, 91 to 100. But if we go even 10s, where do you see Jordan Love landing?
I'm trying to piece it together. So for context, last year he was 34th on this list. Now, this is a list voted on by the players, and he was 2 spots ahead of Tua. Now, I certainly think Jordan Love had a better year than Tua, but now I'm starting to think, do we have him ranked too high and he's going to be like a 70s, 80s guy?
Yeah, there's a chance of that. I mean, he dealt with injury. I think he will get the benefit of the doubt from players for that. But if last year is the baseline, and we did say that he performed better than Tua, so he certainly has put distance between himself and Tua. But because we initially thought 50 to 60, right? In that 50 to 60 range. But now it's feeling like maybe it would be a little bit low. I'm going to stick with 50 to 60. It feels high, but I'd rather go high on Jordan Love than go low.
Last year, for context, the names in the 50 to 60 range were Rashawn Gary, who I don't think is going to make it this year, Keenan Allen, Patrick Surtain, who ended up being Depoy, Zach Martin, Jonathan Allen, Brian Burns, Stephon Diggs, Justin Simmons, Christian Wilkins, Bobby Wake.
It's tricky because there's no really quarterback comp.
The nearest quarterback there is scrolling. Wow. There's Justin Herbert at 75 last year, who dropped 43 spots year over year from 23 to 24. I kind of think that 70 range might be exactly what
you're saying. 70 to 80 range for Jordan Love. Oof, that does not bode well for the thing that we were talking about earlier, which is how many players are they going to get on this list. All right, I mean, we said 50 to 60 when we were brainstorming this thing. You're kind of convincing yourself it's more of the 70 to 80. Pick them. You know, decide. Let's go to the next player, because now that leaves me with a very bad taste in my mouth. We got Xavier McKinney on the list. We believe that Xavier McKinney should be on this list of top 100 players in the NFL. Look, again, I'm going to go real high on this guy. I think he was fantastic for the Packers. I think the league recognizes how good he is. 10 to 20 or 20 to 30, I'm good with for Xavier McKinney.
So for context, last year, the number 1 ranked safety was Kyle Hamilton from the Baltimore Ravens. He was 43rd.
Okay.
I think the 40 to 50 spot is where they're going to end up putting a guy who was an all-pro, just because guys like Devontae Adams, the Joe Burrow, like those names, even if they didn't have, let's say, their best year, you do get a little bit of what have you done career-wise, and the guys in the flashy positions are, to me, going to take precedent. I like 40 to 50 in that, because last year, both Kyle Hamilton and Antoine Winfield Jr. were the two highest ranked safeties, and they were both 40 to 50, and then after that is where a lot of these guys slot in.
Let's go to Josh Jacobs. We believe Josh Jacobs will be on the list. I'm starting to see a trend here. I'm going high. You're going more mid. Let's see if that continues here. For Josh Jacobs, who we all know was the bell cow of the offense last year, as Jordan Love dealt with injuries, the Packers, for one of the first times in, I don't know, a decade or so, ran the ball. Well, more than a decade. We always talk about Amon Green being the last time. That was like 2005. Is that right?
In that range, yeah. I don't remember the years.
So this was the first time that it sort of flipped, where they were more of a run-first team. Because of that, I think that he got a lot of attention. I have him in the 20 to 30 range. My gut tells me you think that's high.
Yeah, so last year, Christian McCaffrey was third. He's not going to be on the list this year due to injury. The next name after that was Derrick Henry. You want to take a guess?
Oh, no. I can tell by the little smug smirk on your face.
He was 49.
Oh, this is not going to go well for me.
After that was Raheem Mostert, who led the league in rushing touchdowns that year at 60. Kyron Williams was 78. And the last name on the list was Saquon Barkley, who had fallen 55 spots to 86.
Well, undoubtedly, he will be in the top 10 this year, right? There's no question Saquon Barkley becomes a top 10 player in the NFL.
I think so.
After
I think
the
he
season
probably
he
just
had.
swaps out with Christian McCaffrey in that top 5.
It's not a bad guess by you. So I'm guessing Josh Jacobs is not in the 20 to 30 range on your board.
I'm going to give him 60 to 70. I think sort of in that, I do think he makes the list. I do think last year was impressive enough, and people recognize how much of the offense he actually was for the Packers, a team who ended up in the playoffs. I do think he gets respect, and I do think because there was only 5 guys that made it, I do think a few more make it.
So if I didn't know better, I'd think you were building a case for what Gabe's argument is, like, you need guys in the top half at the very least, because right now you've got Jordan Love 70 to 80, you've got Xavier McKinney 40 to 50, so maybe he breaks into the top half of the 100 players that this list is recognizing. You got Josh Jacobs 60 to 70. I shudder to think where you have Elton Jenkins and Zach Tom, the two other players we think could have a case to be a top 100 player.
Yeah, if I were to give you my gut as I feel after diving deeper into this list, I think Elton Jenkins might not make the list, despite being probably in the receiving votes or guys just left off, because I think Elton Jenkins has become one of those guys where it's like a ball knowers type deal, where there's a lot of guys who respect him, a lot of other offensive and defensive line, but he's not going to crack this list because he's not a sexy name. He's not one of the guys you hear name called out during broadcasts. I do think Zach Tom finishing third in All-Pro for tackle does get him on the list. I find that hard to believe that a guy who received those type of honors, because players pay attention to that stuff. Chewy will tell us all the time. When you are given accolades or respect like that, it makes a difference. I think if Zach Tom falls in anywhere, it's like 70 to 80, 80 to 90. The more I look at these lists, it's a big popularity contest, and it's also a big wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, the guys who are making their names are getting called on Sundays more than others.
So for whatever it's worth, again, we're just giving you context so you can make decisions on this as you listen to this list, or our projections on this list, rather. Pro Football Focus just released offensive line rankings. These are projections, of course, for the 2025 season. Green Bay Packers came in at number 14. Elton Jenkins is set to move inside to play guard for the Packers. The unit will still be led by Zach Tom, who grew into one of the best right tackles in the league. So according to Pro Football Focus, they think Zach Tom will get the nod over Elton Jenkins just because of perception, production, all of those things. And then the reason I bring this up is because they've got the Lions, the Niners, the Panthers, the Chargers, the Jets, the Falcons, the Vikings, stay with me here, Buccaneers, Colts, Bears, Bills, Broncos, and then, of course, your Super Bowl champion, Eagles, above the Packers as for units. If you assume that every one of those teams has at least one guy, with, again, the Eagles likely having 2 on this list, that chews up a lot of real estate.
Yeah, it's the Packers seem strong at the less sexy positions than years in past, and I think that sort of stuff does factor in, and people recognize, people aren't talking about Zach Tom the way they are even talking about a guy like Jaden Reed, just because of the positions they play. It's more of like a respect thing. Do you show up in big moments against big players? Like I think back to Zach Tom totally shutting down TJ Watt. That to me is how they get credit. But the guys who are scoring touchdowns, making interceptions, making sacks, always get the most attention.
And to your point about the wide receivers, we discussed it during the break. If you are one of these people who is pro Packers wide receiver and you think Jaden Reed or one of the other guys might have a chance at this, your argument against that was pretty sound in Ladd McConkey.
Yes. Ladd McConkey was 100th ranked on the list. He burst onto the scenes, was one of the better. I mean, last year's rookie wide receiver class was incredible pretty much for the first 2 rounds of guys that were taken. He doesn't have the same production as Ladd McConkey, and he was 100th, just barely making the list. So I don't see any way you can make a case for Jaden Reed making the list, and I think the way he finished weighed heavily on people.
I want to hear from the loyal listeners. Let us know, 800-990-3776. Give me the players on the Green Bay Packers who you believe deserve to be on the NFL's top 100 players of 2025. Just give me the list. You can even give me the initials if you're short on time. The players for the Green Bay Packers who you believe deserve to be on this NFL top 100 players of 2025. Let us know, 800-990-3776. Whether you're a local who wants to enjoy a night out or you're planning to visit our great city of Milwaukee, you can enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel. It's conveniently located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee's Theater District. Deluxe accommodations, culinary creativity, on-site art galleries, artist in residence, and nightly live music, so you will enjoy every element of your stay at St. Kate. Learn more and book your stay at stkatearts.com. That's stkatearts.com.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
Still seeing some delays northbound 43 from before Capitol Drive all the way up to about Hampton, where we have an accident on the other side of the barrels on the left. So just be careful as you're heading through that. The southbound side slowing down from Good Hope Road down past the accident scene. Northbound 41, an accident at Watertown Plank Road off on the right shoulder. Beyond that, more delays continue all the way up past Capitol. Southbound slowing from before Silver Spring down to the Capitol Drive area. Traffic is brought to you by the Bud Pavilion's free concert series, Wednesday Night Live. Gates open Wednesday at 6 with live music starting at 7. Generation Z takes the stage Wednesday Night Live at the Bud Pavilion at State Fair Park. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Today, a few clouds and mostly sunny, a high of 75 at the lake, 81 inland. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 64. Weather's brought to you by Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more. Easy and affordable apparel personalization with no minimums and fast turnaround. For all your printing needs, bigfrog.com/Mequon. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Whether you're a local who wants to enjoy a night out or you're planning to visit Milwaukee, enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel, conveniently located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee's Theater District. With deluxe accommodations, culinary creativity, on-site art galleries, artist in residence, and nightly live music, you'll enjoy every element of your stay at St. Kate. Learn more and book your stay at stkatearts.com.
It's Jason Wilde from Wilde & Tausch. Upgrade your industrial supply services with Lakeland Supply, your trusted ISO-certified partner for custom packaging, shipping supplies, janitorial, and safety supply solutions. With over 40 years of industry excellence, Lakeland Supply is a proven one-stop source with over 95% of their products made in the U.S., and they treat their customers like family. Personalized service with a national reach. That's what Lakeland Supply does. Visit lakelandsupply.com to discover how they can make your business better.
Monica, we've got to hand it to you.
You and the design team have outdone yourselves.
Are you talking about the One Collection?
Those rings say you are the one.
And they say it symbolically.
Describe the symbols.
Every ring in the One Collection should be presented with a special ritual.
What would that ritual be?
You pick up her left hand and you place a kiss on her ring finger.
Rick, you never told me about that part.
Then you show her the tiny red diamond, flush-mounted inside the ring, that will forever be in contact with her finger.
Why is it red?
Because that's when the giver says to the one, "Wherever you go, my heart goes with you."
I give you this kiss. I give you my heart.
The red diamond is a secret symbol of that sacred moment.
The center diamond on the outside of the ring is for the whole world to see.
But the tiny red created diamond inside the ring is only for the two of them.
The One collection of engagement rings is available exclusively at Kessler's.
To find the Kesslers nearest you,
visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
But she doesn't know every now and then I got the blammer coming up and I'll let you use my tractor for 2 of the blue things. Which I think's a pretty good deal, which gets me in trouble.
You got a Viagra ring?
Yeah.
On 94.5 ESPN.
I'm not saying it was your fault, although you could have done more. Oh, you're so naive, yes.
Keep getting us your lists of the players for the Green Bay Packers you believe should be on the NFL Top 100 Players of 2025 compilation. They've released the first 10, or the last 10, if you will, 91 through 100. No Packers on that list, but Sam Laporta, Aaron Jones, and Josh, you mentioned Lad McConkey, if you're wondering about where the wide receivers will fall. John weighing in on the YouTube stream saying, I'm not sure Love makes the list if you consider the top 100 in fantasy football, and he wouldn't make my list. I'm sure there will be people out there who believe that as well, that he didn't do enough last year to be considered a top 100 player. This weekend, man, oh man, there was a lot of reaction, which, is a good thing and a bad thing, to the Milwaukee drone show. That's a weird thing to say.
The big hum, as I deemed it.
By the way, that's your best work. I mean, you do a lot of good stuff here on ESPN Milwaukee, and you contribute, obviously, in an incredible way to our show. But the big hum, as opposed to the big bang, some of your best work. Mount Rushmore for Joshy. So what did you think of Milwaukee's 4th of July drone show? If you believe social media and you believe the reaction, people were unimpressed, Joshy. What did you make of the first ever big hum?
It might shock you. I did not go out of my way to view the big hum, but I did take to social media to see how the reaction went, because for a lot of people, it was just viewable from your apartment or whatever you were doing throughout the day. And the thing that stuck out the most to me, and I understand the reason the fireworks show no longer exists is due to cost, so it was replaced with a more cost-effective drone show. As part of that, I saw a lot of people speaking about the advertisements. Now, I understand how this all works. We do the radio. Without the ad breaks we have in between our segments, we would not exist. Sometimes there are necessary evils. I want to call them evils. There are necessities to keep the whole thing going. But the fact that it seemed to me that it was interspersed throughout the show sort of takes away even the mystique you're trying to get, which is already lost from the visceral explosion, sky, the sounds, all of it that comes involved with it. I did take to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, where they had people react to the show. I don't think any of us are surprised that via their survey, the majority of readers want them to bring the fireworks back.
There were a few things that people did look fondly on. Apparently, there was a tribute to Bob Uecker. There were some Milwaukee landmarks. I saw the picture of the art museum. I saw pictures of the lighthouse.
The boat.
No.
Yes, the boat was. The
well,
boat
now
was
see, that's funny, right? The boat that captured our attention for almost an entire year.
Yes.
You know, that washed ashore on the beach. That's funny that they included that. I like fireworks. I have said this before, so I am always going to come from a place of bias. I'm going to come from a place of I would prefer to see a fireworks show, but I know that that's not everybody's thing. That's not everybody's cup of tea. But it does seem like a lot of reaction was I was underwhelmed. People were underwhelmed by it. And maybe it is the idea of not having the sound. Was there music? Did they at least have a music soundtrack that sort of went along with the drone?
There was, but it was only to, like, you can only project the sound so far. So I believe it was coming from directly where they were doing it. So depending on where you found yourself, you could hear it or not. That is not the case with fireworks. You can hear those for miles around. To me, the fact that, like, the drone show right now, to me, has interest because of the newness.
Yeah, novelty.
I do think it's quickly going to fade. And I think the places that still continue to do fireworks are going to gain more and more popularity, where it's going to become as these, because Milwaukee's not the only city that did this. This happened all across the country. There are places, I believe, like even at the Rose Bowl, they had a drone show in place of their typical.
Well, and we know the draft obviously did that, as you mentioned. I'm sorry, I want to be clear on something. Excuse me. There was no tribute to Bob Uecker. It was someone saying they wish there had been a tribute to Bob Uecker.
So I saw a video of Bob Uecker and his name and years of his life.
Okay, so maybe that was in there. Good grief! Can we get a ruling
Maybe it
here
was
on
a
whether or
different
not
show that took place in the. But I saw Bob Uecker and the years of which he lived in a display. I don't know if it was the Milwaukee one. I assumed it was. So I believe there was even like a get up, get out of here, gone as part of that as well. To me, it's just like it's a glorified slideshow. And certainly the technology can improve and the images don't have to be so static. They can be. But how many times of seeing a representation of the Calatrava before you kind of go, all right, I get the point. Like, how are you going to be able to continue to make the repeatability of it something people go out of their way to view?
So I want to be consistent in my messaging here, because I say oftentimes when we talk about sports, like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, let's not do that. So I appreciate the willingness to go outside of the box, to think outside of the box, to try something new. It's not new across the board. There have certainly been drone shows, but to say, hey, let's mix it up a little. Let's see how it goes. But I think now it's important that when you get the feedback from the viewers, when you survey people and see what did you think about it, I think it's important to listen to the feedback. I think it's important to say, hey, maybe it wasn't received the way we intended it to be. What can we do to make it better? It seems like the advertising, and Joshy, to your point, we understand how this all works. It is a big part of it. We sit here and do reads on the show also because it keeps the lights on. I understand that. But people didn't love it. You know, like we were talking about this between you and I. When you watch a show on Hulu, let's say, and I don't pay for the premium Hulu, so I still get commercials on the shows, how many do you put up with? How many for the not getting hit in the pocketbook, for the extra cost it would be to eliminate the ads, which I'm just not willing to do. We don't watch Hulu enough. How many commercials are you willing to tolerate during a 30-minute show? I think it's 2 breaks. 2, 3-minute breaks in the middle of the show. Comparable to what it would be if I were watching it on television and there were actual commercials. Anything more than that, and it does start to take away from the experience. And that's what I think you're finding with the drone show, is that there were too many ads, and it took away from the overall enjoyability.
Because the sponsorship that happened prior with the fireworks show was presented by, and there was sort of announcement, it was like via the media that they came out. Well, now they have the opportunity to include that within the show, which I think made a lot of people step back and go, well, that sort of isn't what we were looking for here. We were looking for the imagery, the famous, there was a lot of American themed, obviously, and patriotic themed stuff, which makes a lot of sense. I do see here that it was Tosa that did have the Bob Uecker tribute to it. So there was 2 different drone shows that took place very close to each other. But I find, and I think I've seen a lot of people saying like fireworks shows are over. I think it's going to go the opposite way. I think drone shows are going to probably take a lot of hold, and then it's going to leave people wanting the classic fireworks show. And it's sort of going to go through that ebb and flow of this became popular, but the people didn't love it. So if you stop getting attendance to these things, you kind of have to refigure out.
The fireworks show that we went to this weekend was perfect. It was probably like 18 minutes long, which to me is like the sweet spot of just enough where the kids have oohed and ahed and, decided what their favorite style of fireworks are. And my daughter's screaming, "Wicked, wicked," because it was pink and it was green and it was a combo. And then there was one that was red and blue and they're like, "Pepsi." So my children are completely commercialized at this point. But then they do the Big Bang at the end or whatever, the grand finale. And then you get in the car and you zip home and you've only got 300 mosquito bites. It was wonderful. It worked out perfectly. I tend to agree that the drone shows will become more prevalent. I would like to see a little more movement, right? In my mind, it's all about production value. If you can, if the drones can move in between images, let's make them move during. Wouldn't it have been cool to see a bat? And then you hear Bob Uecker's voice going, "Get up, get out of here, gone." And then you hear the crowd.
Yeah.
Some of those things I think can just elevate it from the standard level maybe that we saw this weekend to the next level if it is going to be something we see more and more of. Got to take a break here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Still a lot of stuff to get to, and we are running out of time. But we will be right back after this.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy are back after this on 94.5 ESPN. Get your golf fix every Tuesday night at 6 with On the Tee.
Spieth is probably going to embarrass me at some point. What the hell do you know? Shut up and carry the bag.
Join Gabe Neitzel and Stephen Watson as they dissect all things pro golf and tell the tales of their own golfing journeys in Wisconsin.
I think it's golf in its purest form, and I think it should bookend the golf season.
Go On the Tee with Gabe and Stephen, sponsored by Majestic Oaks at Lake Lawn Resort and Gruber Law Offices. Tuesday nights at 6 on 94.5 ESPN and ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
Thinking about buying or building a new home? Start with a mortgage pre-approval from Great Midwest Bank and experience a state of tranquility. At Great Midwest Bank, we offer fast approvals and flexible options with experienced loan officers who understand the local market, because they live here too. Whether you're breaking ground for new construction or buying that dream home just around the corner, we'll guide you every step of the way. Bank with confidence and start your journey at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
Forget average. At Exterior Pros, they bring the heat. They're not here to meet standards, they're here to smash them. From the first swing of the hammer to the final reveal, they're leveling up your home with every window, every shingle, and every single detail. This isn't just a remodel, it's a glow up for your house. Built tough, built beautiful, built to turn heads. Want in? Let's go. Lock in your project now and save $3,000. Exterior Pros, where bold meets built. Trust the pros and visit extpros.com or call 262-800-4274.
A SoFi personal loan is here to help you achieve something once thought impossible: overcoming high-interest credit card debt. Walk the tightrope of your finances with one low, fixed-rate monthly payment, no fees required, and as soon as the same-day funding. That's right. Pull off your own debt-defying stunt with a SoFi personal loan. Visit SoFi.com/trick to learn more. Loans originated by SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. NMLS 696891.
It's time. Time for the pro to get everything for the entire job, all from one partner. To get access to over 3 million products, including many products you won't find in our stores. It's time to get delivery on your schedule or next day on over 50,000 products. And time to get dedicated support on the job site or in our stores. From ordering to planning, we've got you. One partner, any job, all in. Ask about all we can now do at the Pro Desk. The Home Depot Pro, it's about time.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Ever notice how wine enthusiasts often speak a completely different language? And while that language may technically be English, to most people it's anything but. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor, where we stock over 8,000 varieties of wine and speak many dialects of wine English to help everyone, from the wine novice to the master sommelier. So if you need an expert recommendation for wine, or maybe you know what you want and simply need help locating it, our experienced staff has got your back. No matter the budget, occasion, or your level of wine expertise, Discount Liquor will make you feel at home. Discount Liquor, unmatched selection, everyday low prices, a helpful staff, and 2 convenient locations. In Milwaukee on 51st and Oklahoma, and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow and Maine.
Discount Liquor.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's, flavor is our family's business.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Did you know that fact, though?
No, I didn't.
You didn't know that fact?
Is that just a fact, Brig?
Yeah. I mean, that's what Chewy does. Chewy knows the most facts of anyone on the show.
He also knows the most fiction.
On 94.5 ESPN.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. A holiday or a vacation, obviously great, but it isn't a long-term solution if you're dealing with workplace stress. Don't forget therapy can help you navigate whatever challenges the workday or really any day might bring. If you have benefited from therapy, you know what I am telling you. And if you haven't, this is your opportunity to seek it out with BetterHelp. They've got more than 30,000 therapists. They're the world's largest online therapy platform. They've served over 5 million people globally, and you could be next. And look, it works. The App Store has a rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on more than 7 million client reviews. And it is convenient. You can join a session with the click of a button. It'll help you fit therapy into your busy life, and you can switch therapists at any time. This is your opportunity. This is your chance. They are the largest online therapy provider in the world. They provide access to mental health professionals with the click of a button. If you need to unwind from work, use BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/timeout. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/timeout, because we are all better with help. We put it on the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy Twitter poll this morning. What did we ask you this morning?
Mark Murphy over under 29 and a half minutes speaking.
You're very interested in that. 69% of people have said over 29 and a half, so they agree with Joshy and Gabe. And then we asked you which NFC North team is going to have the most on that top 100s list. The Lions have 71% of the vote, as Packers fans sort of come to grips with the idea they don't have a lot of superstars. Hopefully that doesn't matter in the end. Wilde and Tausch is next on ESPN Milwaukee. Have a great Monday, everybody.
Northbound on 43, starting off with some delays here from Capitol Drive all the way up past Hampton.